as I sit here less than 10 feet away from his wife, I realize that I still love him before I believed she actually existed. Where does he find the time? Thought she was an imagination figment, but she isn't. Thought this moment would be more traumatic than this, but it isn't. And at first, I feel nothing, except a little curiosity as I sit over here and she sits over there and he is somewhere. Resisting the urge to stare, I lower my head, not in shame but contemplation of this awkward situational comedy in the making. Can't help but laugh as I clean conjured justifications from underneath my nails in case I had to shake her hand. After all, she's married to the man. She probably recognized the residue of that charm of his. There was supposed to be no harm in this loosening of my conventions on the whim of an attraction. Don't know if there's a heaven, so I bartered my free pass in, hoping karma don't come asking for validation of this decision, because I would have no evidence to support my case. Because I used to say that I could never be the woman to look the woman whose husband she's fucking in the face to offer a greeting or a smile with the same mouth that has taken him on vacation down south below the Mason-Dixon line several times. But what now, poet? What's the next step? They say never let them see you sweat, and I didn't. Gotta poker face it now. Face myself in the mirror later and wonder what will become of we unbecoming lovers. Cause ain't no turning back once you pull back the covers. He grabs my hips, told me she was tripping, so he hated to have to make this quick. Sensing a hint of guilt, I insist that he not concern himself with me, and it was then that I felt it. Something ugly and cold, something I witnessed firsthand at 12 years old when I was still married to God until some 19-year-old stained sheets and defamed me. We laid down for a bit of bliss in the midst of Armageddon. Then he went home to his home wreckage, covered in the dust of us from the rubble of our Tower of Babel's demolition, scarred with the stigmata of a conscious crucifixion. No asylum through ascension, so I chose to accent them. Good thing scarlet letters are always on sale just below retail, but only a smudge dulls the details of his wedding ring. From a distance, there is harmony, branded in the echoes of I do's, bouncing off the walls of our secret rendezvous. And this costly sacrifice don't seem worth its asking price of our good names, our reputations, our genuine friendship, should this sin cause the fall of his foundation. And I wish I could see an end to this, but what's in a wish if you ain't got a wishing well to pitch a penny for his thoughts, or a nickel for his kiss, or the fistful of ignorance that I swap for my 6 cents, and there she is, the other half of his bank account, bearer of his last name, oblivious to the amount of change that I'm holding in my pocket. And I pray that this woman doesn't ask if I can spare a dime, cause right now the space is so fine between his 1.5 and my moral contemplation, like the distance between 2 radio stations. And I can feel the static as she brushes past me, holding their child fast asleep. Through closed eyes the child asks me, what kind of person are you to be threatening my family? And I can't answer because I don't know. Never wish failure on anyone, but there's always an exception to the rule. So I hope failure finds you in everything you do. I wish I could watch you getting humiliated on every TV station in a weekend-long commercial-free marathon hosted by Flavor Flav and Britney, but that's not it. See, I hope you wake up to find your tear ducts seared shut, with nothing but time on your hands and onions to cut. I wish you really scary-ass nightmares every time you blink, then maybe you'll realize what you did wrong. You broke rules even a beginner in the game wouldn't get wrong. The hood puts hits on fools like you that put hoes before homies, giving up steak for baloney. I hope you die slow, old, and lonely, and wrinkly, and constipated, just cause you was playing the role of righteous on that conscious tip when you touched the mic to spit. But you wasn't gangster enough to walk the walk, so you can't talk the talk. You's a conscious MC by default, and your rude manners protrude far beyond any bond you pretended to hold dear. My dear, they say three's a crowd, but what if the third person was blind? You was literally fucking with my mind when you avoided telling the truth. So I hope your wife leaves leaves you for a midget with one tooth who turns out to be the real father of your kids. And I hope all this happens live on Maury Povich. No, better yet, I wish you the micro penis birth defect. And for your piss poor effort at friendship, I wish you piss pants in public. I hope you try crack and love it. I hope you find out your spouse is your long lost cousin. And from this day forward, I hope no one ever remembers your birthday. And just when you think you've hit rock bottom and couldn't possibly have a worse day, I wish the earth falls from beneath your feet and no one can hear you scream but me. And on that day, I will have smoked the biggest blunt and be in the deepest sleep, but I will wake up just in time to hear you scream like a bitch. Cause you was a bitch. You got engaged after we was fucking for 10 months. Tried to say it was to avoid paying child support, but what a poor excuse. And I know you teach school, but friends first was the rule, so let me educate you. Always treat a woman like you'd want a man to treat your daughter. And speaking of your daughter, I hope she grows up to be a stripper and you don't find out till you pull out your dollar to tip her. You might think I'm being brash, but I beg to differ. See, I don't respect those who don't return the courtesy. You invaded my space, now this is my insurgency. Cause I got a call 3 days before your wedding day asking for one more lay for old time's sake. Talk about icing on the cake you tried to have and eat too, but the evil that we do as humans left you with a soul ruined by stupidly choosing. So I hope your life turns out to be someone else's dream and they wake up the moment you hit the lottery. And just for kicks, I hope you bleed from the tip of your dick and it don't quit for a week. I wish you homelessness and leprosy and an involuntary vasectomy with no anesthesia. I wish you writer's block and insomnia and botched dental procedures. And I wish you can't ever stop dropping the soap in jail. And till you do right by me, everything you even think about gon' fail.